Have you ever been in a situation where things were in complete disarray at work? It was just complete chaos? Think of that moment. What caused that moment that you're experiencing? In this presentation, we are going to go through an SOP Masterclass and dive into why problems are caused at work, how you can avoid them, and how SOPs can help you leverage your business and take it to new heights. In this situation where there was a chaotic incident, there's three things that could have caused it. One is there was no written process to follow. Two, there was a written process to follow, but people weren't following it. Three, there was a written process to follow, but it didn't take into account specific circumstances or steps. So everyone, welcome to the SOP Masterclass. My name is Kevin Foreman. I am a business consultant. We're gonna dive in today, answer a few different important points about SOPs so you can leverage them in your business. So here's what we're gonna cover today. We are gonna define what an SOP is and why you need them. We're going to understand the 6 ingredients to develop an SOP, and we're going to review SOP samples together. Also, we'll understand what to include in an SOP. We'll identify the top 5 processes in your business that you need an SOP for, and we'll begin writing an SOP for your business. We'll give you some steps on that. We'll review everything with a quick test. What is a standard operating procedure? The full name of it is a standard operating procedure. An SOP is a detailed, documented set of instructions that outlines how to perform a specific task or process consistently and efficiently. And one thing to keep in mind when you look at that, an SOP can be in written form, and it probably should, but it also can be done with videos and notes on a video when you're completing certain tasks. So there's a few different ways to actually leverage an SOP. What is business like without SOPs? Inconsistent results. So every time someone does something, it's slightly different. You probably understand why that's a challenge for a company. Wasted time training new employees is a headache without having systems in place. Lost revenue, so small efficiencies will add up very fast and cost you a lot of money. Frustrated customers, so no one likes waiting on a disorganized company. Why do you need SOPs for your business? Safety. If your business is in anything physical like construction, manufacturing, energy, you run a serious risk of processes not being coordinated and people potentially getting injured. Cohesion, when everyone operates the same and someone has a day off, nothing stops because the next person knows the process and their role. Scalability, when your processes are coordinated, you can take on more work and actually look organized doing so. Kaizen, so this is a business philosophy based on making positive changes on a regular basis as to improve productivity. You cannot practice Kaizen without SOPs. Efficiency, research suggests that organizations with clear SOPs outperform their competitors by 31%. How does business feel with fully integrated SOPs? Everything is second nature. So I used to wrestle, and my coaches would always say, practice is so key because when you're in a match, you don't have time to even think. Everything has to come in second nature. When you have SOPs in place and you're using them and you're improving them and processes are just being refined, everything becomes second nature. Continuously improving. Your team, going back to Kaizen, your team becomes students. So when things are so streamlined and clear and your SOPs are being updated, what happens is that people actually become experts in their specific crafts in your company, and there's consistent improvement. And this is like a huge point that I want to hit home today, is that it is imperative that your SOPs are consistently reviewed and updated. And this ties into being a student of your craft, because if your team is well trained and the operator is one unit, they should be committed to consistently improving processes. Employee retention, no one wants to go anywhere. People want to stay at your company. They see that you're a specialist in your craft. They feel safe, valued, and a part of a winning team. Confidence, the pulse of your company, it is confidence. You're winning, you're improving. People know that they're on the winning side. It's not arrogance because you know what it takes to win. So instead, it's just a feeling of confidence in your business. Increased revenue and profits. So in this chart here, what we're looking at is in year 1, the cost of implementing SOPs is substantial. As you get into the second year and they're implemented, your profits grow, your revenues grow, and the cost of implementing and maintaining those SOPs, it decreases, it levels out. So there is an initial investment in having SOPs and implementing them, but it pays off. Improve customer experience. Customers or clients can tell that you and your team have it together. You're cool, calm, collected, and delivering consistent results. You have increased retention rates, referrals, and positive reviews. Your business is growing. Remember that consistency builds trust. What are the ingredients for developing an SOP? Existing processes. So if your business is brand new, it's okay to take existing processes, maybe from ChatGPT, maybe from industry associations, from your competitors or your allies in your industry. It's okay to take existing processes and to build on them. Likewise, if your business is one where you had an SOP from a long time ago, say 5 years ago, it's okay to build on that. So existing processes are a foundational part of developing your SOPs. Technology. So if you can leverage technology to build SOPs, to build them more efficiently, to build them better, do it. And we'll dive into that in a moment. Team. When you're developing SOPs, there's 3 parts of your team that you want to ensure are included. One is field. So the actual staff that are going to actually perform the task, they should be included. Additionally, safety. You want to ensure that any safety steps aren't missed. And then also management to look at both of those different groups in your company and to ensure that things are done both safely and efficiently. Accessibility. You want to ensure that the SOP is accessible to everyone who's a part of developing it. Communication. If someone is added, ensure that all team members are tagged. So there should be open communication when things are being updated. And review and refinement. This is the most important step long term. It's reviewing and refining your SOPs because, let's face it, things will change and be updated as you move ahead. So existing processes, as I mentioned before, don't be afraid to take existing processes and review and implement them. Move ahead with that with caution. You never know, you might have take some existing process that is missing a step. Don't take it as it is 100% safe. Implement it with caution. Next, technology. So we're going to dive into some of the key technology platforms for developing SOPs right now. Loom. So you could create a Loom video, which probably most people know about, but it's having yourself in the corner of a screen, maybe like this, where you're walking through different steps and communicating it to someone else. This might be great for businesses that are operating online and are showing how to complete something on a desktop. Trello, a Kanban style project management tool that helps teams organize SOPs using boards, lists, and cards. It's one to keep in mind. Notion, all-in-one workspace, best for teams that prefer a visual drag and drop approach to task management. Trainual, it's designed specifically for SOPs and employee training, making it ideal for scaling businesses. Trainual is one of my top picks for sure. And Scribe. So Scribe's amazing. Basically what it will do is you can have Scribe watch your screen, perform certain tasks, and it will take those certain steps and screenshots and turn it into an SOP itself. So again, this is something that's great for businesses that are based online. Google Drive, it's just a great place to potentially share and store your SOPs over time. You could also use something like Dropbox potentially. So going back to the top ingredients for developing an SOP, your team, as mentioned before, you want to have that mix of safety personnel, field staff, and management. So the major thing that large companies do wrong, not all of them, but a lot, is they'll develop an SOP with a bunch of people in a boardroom and say, this is how it's done, and send it out. Of course, one, you're not building it with the people who are going to use it. There's going to be things that they would want to include. And then also you might be missing the safety part of it. So it might violate various safety regulations. So it's important to have that nice mix of management, safety, and field. Accessibility, as mentioned, you want to ensure that everyone who's a part of the process actually has access to the SOP. So just make sure that it's shareable, it's maybe cloud-based. We like working in Google Doc, but it's up to you. Communication, when things are updated, you want to ensure that everyone knows. So the team should be tagged and updated if you change something. We don't want one person changing one thing and then the SOP being published without everyone reviewing it. There's no substitute for a president, CEO, founder, leader who is hands-on. So if you are the leader of your organization, make sure you're a part of this process. Make sure that if there is a situation where safety and field or various field members, they're disputing how something should be done, take it upon yourself to go into the field and see both options. And then we need the leadership in that where the founder, the CEO, or operations manager decides on the safest, most efficient process. Review and refinement. So when you come across a situation where there was a written process to follow, but it didn't take into account specific circumstances or steps, you must have someone designated in your company, whether yourself or an operations manager, who can make that decision on which way it should be done moving forward. We need that decisiveness there. Reviewing and refining your SOPs is key, because going back to Kaizen, you want consistent improvement. You want to ensure your SOPs are not getting outdated. And what you'll find is, again, there's that initial period where it costs a lot of money with staffing, with consultants to develop these SOPs, but over time, you just start getting really efficient and you become a company that's the best in class in your specific industry. And that comes through consistent refinement and review of your SOPs. Let's dive into now an SOP sample review. The one that we're going to be looking at here is for installing a water main. Please keep in mind, one, this isn't necessarily the actual process to develop a water main. It's more for sample purposes. So we're going to take a look at this, and then we're going to recap and identify what parts of that process that you want to include in your SOPs. Okay, so here's 2 pages of an SOP. Again, it's not the complete SOP. It would likely be a lot more extensive than this, but let's notice a few things here. So we have the document number at the top, the title, effective date, who it was prepared by, who approved it, what version it's on. Then we have the purpose. So this SOP outlines the procedure for installing a high-density polyethylene HDPE water main, ensuring safety, efficiency, and compliance with Alabama state regulations. So that's the overall purpose of it. The scope. This procedure applies to all personnel involved in the installation of HDPE water mains on civil infrastructure or development projects in our company. So those are 2 parts there. Roles and responsibilities. So we're outlining everyone in the process who is a part of this task. A site foreman, a machine operator, a pipe layer, and a laborer. They all have their own respective roles in this process. Next, we have safety considerations. So all crew members must wear proper PPE, excavations must comply with OSHA, proper signaling and communication between operator and ground crew at all times, ensure proper lockout, tagout procedures for working near live lines. If you're developing an SOP for something that is not physical and you're in an office or people are working remotely, you might have safety considerations to consider, but you also might not, and that could potentially be removed. Tools and equipment, same thing. If you are doing something physical, this list could be included. If not, it's something that you could potentially leave out. Documentation and records. So any documentation that is a part of this process should be included in here. If you're working remotely, if you're working online, then this could be breaking out the various different software programs you're using or tools in that case. Next up here, we're getting started with the actual process itself. So this is the meat of the SOP. So as you'll notice here, it's very clear, it's step by step. Everything should be included in chronological order. So in this instance, we have pre-installation preparation, verifies permits and plans. So before they're actually even doing the work, the site foreman is ensuring that all necessary site permits, plans, and utility locates are completed. And then it goes into detail with city permits, specifically what city and the details around that, site plans, utility locates. A safety meeting is held where everyone reviews the SOP itself together and everyone has to sign off on it, and it's a space where people can ask questions. Then we go into staging, so you're getting the pipe set up. We're going into trenching, the actual excavation required, the installation, the fitting and the valves, and then lastly the inspection and pressure testing. When that's all complete, you can see that they go into backfilling and restoration, and then it's clear every SOP should include this. The SOP is now complete. So the process is complete. There is an ending point to the task. One thing you'll notice on this screen as well is that we have highlighted all the different roles in their respective colors. Personally, we like including this because it can be, one, helpful in the process when you're developing the SOP, but additionally, when you're looking at it afterwards, it can be a nice touch. If you don't want to have it color-coded, you can avoid it, but it's something that we like to include. What to include in an SOP. So now what we're going to do is take that last sample and work backwards in identifying what the different parts were that were included that are important. So the title, give your SOP a name. Consider naming it something clear and memorizable. Effective date, this should include the last day the SOP was updated, revised, or published. So if you publish an SOP tomorrow, the effective date would be that date. If you revise it in a year, then that would be the effective date. So whenever it was last published or revised. Purpose, so again, this is kind of where we started. It's a minimum of 1 to 2 sentences communicating the reason for developing an SOP and just making it really clear is the key there. Scope, a concise outline of the technicalities of the process. So purpose is more high level. Scope is communicating whether this is a physical process, whether this is online. It's diving into that. Roles and responsibilities. Include the different roles included in the process and a high-level summary of their position in the execution of the process. Safety considerations. So this is primarily for any business that's operating in a physical manner. Write this section for someone who knows nothing about the process to ensure they're completely aware. That's a key with any SOP. It is always write it assuming whoever is reviewing it knows nothing else about it. If you do that, you won't miss any steps. Documentation records. What documentation needs to be reviewed, signed off on, or reviewed before proceeding? Procedure. This is the SOP itself. This is the meat of the SOP. Some other options that you could consider including is a glossary of the different terms that you're including in the process. Again, going back to writing it for someone who knows nothing about the process, having glossary could help communicate any confusion around certain words that you're using. Tools and platforms, communicating which SaaS products, tools, or software you're using when developing the SOP. And review and updates, communicating when the SOP should be updated next. If you're complying with ISO, if you're complying with a certain regulatory body, this might be something you may want to include. How do you update an existing SOP? So you've developed the SOP, now you want to update it. Every 3 months is a good timeline for most businesses, annually for most companies. But one of the biggest things is whenever there's a change. And how do you stay on top of actually updating SOPs? You should really dedicate one person to taking on that task to ensure that they're responsible for ensuring an SOP is updated. It could be an operations manager, it could be safety personnel, just whatever you do not cut costs and just have one person doing it. Make sure that it's a team of people together that review and update it together. Here's some samples of businesses that are known for being process-based. We have McDonald's, Amazon, Starbucks, Toyota, and Apple. McDonald's, known for standardized procedures in food prep, service, and operations. I'm sure, like myself, you've probably heard people say, well, they worked at McDonald's, so they know what they're doing, so we'll hire them. So young people will literally work at McDonald's, and it's a gateway to other future jobs for the reason that people are trained really well at McDonald's, and they seem to be more employable. Amazon, built on automated logistics, data-driven decisions, and fulfillment processes that enable rapid delivery and scalable growth. So not only are they inherently process-based, they're also a disruptive company, which is a very interesting blend. Starbucks, baristas, supply chain, so runs on repeatable in-store workflows and comprehensive barista training to ensure quality and consistency worldwide. Toyota, so the lean production model. Toyota, pioneers of lean manufacturing and continuous improvement through the Toyota production system. So they have their own proprietary system, which includes following processes. But what's unique about Toyota is when they have a problem, they're trained to literally go into assessing it and dealing with it immediately, which compared to previously some American car manufacturers is like the complete and total opposite. And Apple. So specifically Apple's retail division, it delivers seamless customer experience through structured training, advanced support systems, and well-orchestrated retail operations. One thing I'd say on Apple is that they have such a high-quality product and brand that it makes their in-store retail division so much more seamless. But nevertheless, they do have quality SOPs. So I'd like to ask you, what are your top 5 processes in your business that you need an SOP for? If you have them, and if there's anything that you can improve on as a result of this presentation, it's probably important to do over the next few months. If you're a business that's brand new, I would challenge you to say, what are our top 5 core processes that we should leverage existing SOPs and develop. And if you're a business that's somewhere in the middle, just consider going through this process in the next few months and making it a part of your daily habits as a business. SOPs are huge because what it says when you've actually taken SOPs and introduced them into your business, it tells your employees that you're serious about production, it tells your customers that you're serious about safety and delivery, also your employees, and it really sets a solid precedent for your business to be a leader in its respective field. If you invest into these processes for your business and you become a process-based business, you will surpass your competitors. It's a complete certainty. If you have any other questions about SOPs, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help you with them. Be a consistently improving company and you will grow over time.